Moon landing. Is that fake? If I had asked you few remarkable scientific achievements of mankind, you would have probably thought of electricity, DNA structure, general theory of relativity, the discovery of subatomic particles, or even the airplane. But, you would not have missed this one on your list. Man on the Moon. That was the headline of various newspapers by the end of June in 1969. It has been over 50 years after this unforgettable achievement. Every organism was searching food and water on Earth. But, humans had other ideas. They were searching for food and water on other planets. But, what made humans this curious to know about the world beyond? Many say that ever since man looked up at the night sky, the fascination to know more about what lies beyond our planet had started. Others say that man wanted to prove that the sky is not the limit. Both of them are correct. But, apart from these two, there was something else that introduced the world of space exploration to man. It all started with the enmity between the two arch-rivals in the Cold War. The two countries are the USA and the Soviet Union. Each one wanted to be dominant over the other in some field. Since both countries were equally competent in both technology as well as warfare, both nations decided to compete against each other in the field of space exploration to know who is stronger. But why only space exploration? It was because, if a country has the power to launch a rocket against gravity, they would easily have the power to fire missiles under gravity. So, the space race started just only to know which country was stronger. In this race, the Soviet Union took the lead ever since the start of the race. Because, it was the owner of most of the important achievements in space exploration. USSR had launched the first artificial satellite, named Sputnik 1. Then it sent the first animal to space, a dog named Lekya, in Sputnik 2. Next, it sent the first man to space, namely Yuri Gagarin. It had also sent the first woman to space, namely Valentina Tereshkova. It also displaced the first rover on Moon, namely Lunokhod 1, in Luna 17. Needless to say, USA was reeling behind. The US wanted to change this situation by doing an achievement that would equal all other achievements of USSR. So, the US president, namely John F. Kennedy, ordered NASA to send at least one person to Moon before 1970. And in particular, they must not send other countries' citizens as lab rats. After several failed attempts, his dream became true on July 16, 1969, when Apollo 11 took off from Kennedy Space Center and started its journey to the Moon. 3 members traveled in Apollo 11, namely Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin and their pilot Michael Collins. And USA started its dominance over Russia with this achievement. But only years later, people started to identify mistakes in the images, and this had made people think that the moon landing was just a fiction made by USA to overthrow Russia. Let's see what they are in this video. Number 1. The waving flag. Most of you can recognize this image. Yes, it is the historic image of Buzz Aldrin planting the US flag on the moon. We have seen this multiple times. But we have failed to notice one thing: the flag was waving. And what's wrong with that? There is no atmosphere or air on Moon. Then how was it waving? Well, NASA says that the flagpole was shaped like an L and that's why it was waving. But, what about this video footage of the deployment of the flag? NASA says that the flag was moving due to vibrations that were felt while the astronauts were walking. Number 2. Lack of impact. You can see footsteps of Buzz Aldrin here. And Neil Armstrong's weighed 160 kilograms along with his suit, and obviously, Buzz Aldrin would weigh almost the same. But, Apollo 11 weighed around 5,000 kilograms. If the 160 kilogram person could leave an impact behind, why didn't the 5,000 kilograms Apollo 11 leave any impact behind? Number 3. Distinct footprints. The boots worn by astronauts generally are shaped like the one you see in the left. But, the footprint was like the one on the right. As you can see, they are different and are unmatching. Now, let's move on to Number 4. Can you find the error? Can you find the mistake in this image? I will give you 10 seconds to guess.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Did you get it? Don't worry if you haven't. I will say it myself. If we look carefully at the shadows, they seem to point to different directions. The shadow of the spacecraft faces the east and that of the rocks point the southeast. Anyone who knows basic science can say that, for a body to have multiple shadows, there must be multiple light sources. But Moon had only one, which is none other than the Sun. There are further many more images that show multiple shadows pointing to different directions. Therefore, one can clearly say that these images were taken in a studio with lighting all around. Number 5. Van Allen radiation belt. Let's see what the Van Allen radiation belts are. They are donut-shaped regions around the Earth filled with high-energy particles. Their shapes and sizes keep shifting in response to magnetic storms from the Sun. There are 2 belts, and sometimes there are few more that form occasionally. And this belt forms no longer than the distance between the Earth and the Moon. These belts radiate so much energy that spacecrafts and astronauts need very strong protection while passing these belts. And, only now, NASA is working on a project named Orion which is going to cross this belt with high cutting-edge technology. But, how did Apollo 11 cross this belt without any such technology? There is no valid reason for this. Anyway, let's proceed to number 6. Sounds on the Moon. As I had said there is no atmosphere on the Moon, and sound needs medium to propagate. But, you can hear some sound in this footage when the astronaut throws something. There is another footage that shows an astronaut hitting a rock with something like a hammer and that is emitting sound. NASA says that the sound may be because of the vibrations felt while hitting the rock that traveled to the microphone inside the spacesuit through the body, and that vibration was amplified by the microphone. Now, let's go to number 7. Layered crosshairs. In older cameras, there used to be plus marks on the screen to indicate the angle in which the photograph was shot. Generally, they are seen in the foreground, but in few images, they can be seen in the background. NASA could not explain the reason behind this. Number 8. Starlit sky. As you can see, there is not a single star in the sky in any of the images taken on the Moon. You may think that there may be some particle on the atmosphere that makes it difficult to see the stars. But, if we can see the stars from cloud-filled Earth, why can't we see it from a cloudless Moon? That remains a mystery. Let's go to number 9. Duplicate background. Both of these images were taken on the surface of the Moon, or rather claimed to have taken on the surface of the Moon by Apollo 11 and 15. But, if we overlap them, we can see that both these images were taken on the same background. And now, we can move to the last one, that is number 10. Who filmed Neil Armstrong stepping onto the Moon? Similarly, there are heaps of arguments about the Moon landing. Comment down if you believe in this historic Moon landing. I will see you in another video. Till then, goodbye.